Despite having a very successful April so far, last night was not Pascal Siakam's night as he put up 10 points against the Brooklyn Nets. So it's time we have a very serious conversation about Pascal Siakam. Let's get into it. Welcome Raptors fans to Amateur Sports. This is the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 times a week. So if you like what you see from today's video and you want more of myself talking about the Raptors in videos just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support to the channel on our road to 3,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for helping us hit 2.7K. Let's press onwards to that 3K mark. But today's video, we're talking about Pascal Siakam, and we're having a very serious conversation about Pascal Siakam because, again, like I said in the intro, he has been phenomenal so far in the month of April, and yesterday fully toned it down and did not have a good night. He did not have a good night. Fact of the matter is, Pascal Siakam did not have a good night yesterday. Shot pretty horrendous, 2 for 16 from the field, only 10 points. And considering, going into the game, I was thinking, who is going to be guarding Pascal Siakam on this Brooklyn Nets team? I was expecting him to have a feast on the interior, but that was not the case. Got out to a very slow start. I think he started 1 for 8 from the field, something like that. And, that kind of rolled over for the rest of this game. Siakam is a very rhythm-oriented and confidence-oriented player. And when he starts out slow like that, it's usually kind of difficult for him to bounce back and get it under control. Sometimes he can get it back under control. Yesterday was not a good example of that. But I will return to the point. Siakam is having a great month of April, and this game was off the back of a back-to-back, and he's been playing a lot of minutes lately. So the conversation we need to have today is stop over-hating Pascal Siakam. I am getting sick and tired of people just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting for him to have a bad game. And finally, when he has that 1 in 10 bad game, that's when everybody strikes and they go crazy on Reddit, the NBA subreddit, go on Twitter, NBA Twitter, Raptors Twitter, people, even in my Twitch community, even my Twitch chat, calling for Siakam's head when he has one bad game. Siakam can play 90% of his games. Siakam can be, star-esque, playing out of his mind, like over 20 points per game, over 47% shooting from the field. But then the one bad game, the 10% of the bad games, those are the ones that everybody fixates on. And even sometimes the bad games aren't even really bad games. Yesterday, now that was a bad game. There is no way around it. Ciaco did not have a good game last night against the Brooklyn Nets. But leading up until that, Siakam has been wonderful for the Raptors in the month of April, who are on quite a roll. Coming into last night, they had won 5 of their last 6 games. They were playing very good basketball. Didn't quite work out last night against one of the best teams in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets. I get they didn't have James Harden, but they did have Kyrie Irving. They did have Kevin Durant, and they did have some other guys who put up some good performances like Landry Shamet, like Joe Harris, and Matt James and you have other players coming from Europe actually had a pretty good game. But regardless of that, this is a good Brooklyn Nets team, and they have set out this game for defending Pascal Siakam. Every time Pascal Siakam got the ball down low, it seems like the Brooklyn Nets brought a double towards him. Now, sometimes he did free himself up for good shooting opportunities that did not quite fall down, but still, Siakam definitely could have been better, and it was difficult for him. It was very difficult for him to work with getting doubled consistently. But again, I will go back to the way Pascal Siakam has been playing recently. So, in his last 5 games for the Toronto Raptors, last 5 games leading up to the game against Brooklyn, Pascal Siakam was averaging 25.6 points per game to start. So, Siakam's been balling, putting up a ton of points. Now you think, well, is that just usage? Is that just taking a lot of shots? Well, no, because his field goal percentage over that 5-game stretch where he was averaging 25.6 points per game was above 50%. 51% from the field for Pascal Siakam in those games. And then you bring it to rebounding, where he's also contributing 7.6 rebounds per game in that 5-game stretch. So that little pocket leading up to this not so good game against the Brooklyn Nets, Siakam has been balling. And if you want to count the entire month of April, just a 5-game sample doesn't convince you. Over the entire month of April, even including the game last night, Pascal Siakam has still been balling. 24.1 points per game, and he's also been shooting very efficiently in the entire month as well. 47% from the field for Siakam. That is right above his average, just a little tick above his usual average. You can even say it's right at his average, what he would normally expect Pascal Siakam to produce from shooting percentages. Also, again, contributing on the glass with 6.5 rebounds per game in all of those games that we have been discussing. So Siakam in the month of April has been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal, especially when you consider all of the things affecting Pascal Siakam's game at the moment, which we will get into. Do not worry about that. With everything considered, Siakam has been wonderful. Even if you ignore all the things considered, Pascal Siakam has been great and has orchestrated the Raptors' good run of games here. They've won 5 of their last 7 games. Sure, they're coming into a tough West Coast road trip here, but it's not the fault of Siakam. With anything going wrong with the Raptors, Siakam is playing very good basketball at the moment, really finding his feet, really finding his confidence. You can see he's starting to knock down his threes a little bit more. Sometimes, like yesterday, had a bad night from 3, but there was also some other nights where he's shooting like 5 for 9 from 3, so hopefully we see that coming back. And, you would think Raptors fans want to be supportive of our man, because this is the best player on our team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Pascal Siakam is the best player on the Toronto Raptors. Last season, he was All-NBA second team, and he started the All-Star game, and he really fell off in the bubble and shattered his confidence, and he brought that into the start of the season when the Raptors started 2-8 and he wasn't playing particularly well, but he slowly started to find his feet, started to play a little bit better, and got COVID, a horrible case of the virus where he lost 10 to 15 pounds. And honestly, the way Fred VanVleet's talking about it, these guys still have not recovered from it. Their bodies just can't handle the strenuous minutes that Nick Nurse is forcing them to play. And despite all of that, despite all the adversity Pascal Siakam is facing, whether it be backlash from Toronto media, whether it be backlash from Toronto Raptors fans who give him so much hate online, whether it be playing every single game away from home because the Raptors are being forced to play in Tampa, whether it be trying to recover the confidence that he lost playing against the Boston Celtics in the bubble, whether it be anything, all of these things, all of the adversity affecting Pascal Siakam, he has been balling out recently. Yet still, there are so-called Toronto Raptors fans who wait for that one bad game, sometimes even one mediocre game to jump on his ass. Like Siakam, again, best player on the Raptors, you'd think we'd be supportive of. Guys have bad games. Players have bad games. And even the stars have bad games. Even the superstars. Not that Siakam is a superstar. Even the superstars in the NBA have bad games. What do? They bounce back, they put it behind them, and get it ready for the next game. And that's been Pascal Siakam's mentality. And I mean, the mental for this guy to go through so much of this adversity, so much backlash from media and fans, yet still come out and be an absolute dog on the court. Never mind, the offense not working out. Sometimes, even when the offense isn't there, Siakam is still working his ass off on defense, and still, he's been a much improved playmaker this season, setting things up. He's going to average a career high in assists, or he's on pace to average a career high in assists. And he's not going to average a career high in his 3-point percentage. He's not going to average a career high in his points per game. But again, was all of these things affecting Pascal Siakam? Again, the virus, the playing every game away from home, the confidence at the start of the season, the backlash, all of these things he's facing, yet still performing like this. I think we can expect Pascal Siakam to be back to his best next season. He's showing shades of it right now in this month. He's absolutely showing shades of it. And it's not just because the Raptors aren't playing good teams. They've played good teams over the month of April. They have played good teams. Have they played bad teams? Yeah, that's how scheduling works. You play every team. Sometimes a team sucks, sometimes a team is good. But despite everything, Siakam has been playing well against a number of different types of opposition, whether that be a good team, whether that be a bad team. And the reason bad teams are bad teams is because players play well against them. And the reason good teams are good teams is that players don't play as well against them. So obviously, when you compare, like if you want to go down to the fine detailing of Pascal Siakam's stats and say, wow, when he plays this really good defender, he doesn't do as well when he's playing a bad defender. Yeah, obviously, that's going to happen when you play a worse team. You're going to do better. And when you play a better team, sometimes you're not going to play as well as that. That's just the simple reality of sport. The simple reality of basketball. Do you want your stars to exceed expectations when they play good teams? Yes, absolutely. But you're going to be overly critical of these guys for maybe having a slight little bit of a regression, because even against a lot of good teams, Pascal Siakam still plays very well. Just one particular example against the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, he was awful. I can attest to how awful Pascal Siakam was. We were watching along on Twitch as normal. But does one game of being, not so good, of being mediocre, completely tarnish a player? Not usually. But for Pascal Siakam, it absolutely is. And a lot of you people really need to have a conversation with yourself about why you really relish the opportunity to roast Pascal Siakam when he has a bad game. Why do you guys wait for this one moment, this one bad game to go attack this guy, go for his neck? Because, again, the stats don't lie. Looking at the graphics, Siakam has been fantastic leading up to this game, and he has been fantastic in the entire month of April. I don't understand why people love to hate this guy. I think he's the most overhated player in the NBA. He can literally have a good game sometimes, and people will still give him shit for something. Does Pascal Siakam make mistakes in the fourth quarter? Yes. Is that a really bad part of his game? Absolutely. Siakam makes mistakes in fourth quarters. And a glaring example of that is against the New York Knicks when he double dribbled right at the end of the game, the first time he played the New York Knicks, not the most recent example of that. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Siakam, yeah, he makes mistakes. Does he miss shots late on in the fourth? Sometimes he does, yeah, but eventually those are going to start to fall. He's going to get those shooting rolls. I think he's very unlucky with a lot of these rolls he's getting in clutch situations. But irregardless of all that, Pascal Siakam is a great basketball player. The Toronto Raptors are very lucky to have this guy, especially having drafted him late on in the first round. The Raptors organization is lucky to have this guy. You guys, we are very lucky to have this guy on our favorite team. Please give this man the respect he deserves, because he absolutely deserves your respect. And maybe all of you guys out there who love to hate this guy, you don't deserve Pascal Siakam on your team, because he'll ball out, and he's going to ball out, and he's going to have bad games, but then he'll bounce back, and he'll ball out again. This is the cycle for Raptors fans watching Siakam. Love him. They love him. They love him. He's playing well. Then the one bad game out of 10 to 20 games, just one bad game, that's when you jump on him. Assess yourself. Assess your priorities. Do you want this man to succeed, or do you want this man to fail? Because if you're a Raptors fan, you got to want this guy to succeed. I don't understand how it can be any other way, because sometimes it honestly does feel like Raptors fans are actively seeking his failure. He's a prime example of a player where you whisper his accomplishments, but you scream out his failures. So I know there's going to be divide about this video. I know people really hate Ciaco. I know people love Ciaco. If you're like me, you love Ciaco, you support him. And you hold people accountable for their mistakes. Siakam was brutal against the Brooklyn Nets yesterday, but I have confidence that he's going to bounce back. I'm confident he's going to be better in the next one. And if he's not, then he'll be better in the next one. Bad games happen. He recovers. Let me know what your frame of mind is regarding Pascal Siakam. Don't be way too critical of him. Don't be way too critical of the video. I'm just speaking my opinion on the matter. But that wraps up for me for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you are still here, please be sure to hit the like button. If you did enjoy the video at any point to help us reach some new viewers, it definitely helps with engagement on the channel. And subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. Also, follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/amateursports, where we watch along every single Raptors game, plus a number of other things like 2K streams, trivia nights, and much more. We have a lot of fun there. Make sure you join the fun. At the end of the day, believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.